Nobody complaining about anything but the economy and anything to do with finances, and that's why we have each and every Friday a conversation with Drew Blazsik. It's time for Faith and Finance. Good morning to you, Drew.
Hey, good morning. How's things going?
Fabulously well. How about you?
I'm doing pretty good. I got Hannah and Audrey here in the studio.
I see it.
And I'm going to make a trip out in this beautiful weather to Cedar Point with the little ones. So
nice.
We're going to go to Snoopy Land and do the big time rides.
Nice.
It's gonna be,
Gotta love that. Hope you'll go to Blessed Sacrament Summerfest next weekend and get them some of those fried Oreos.
Oh, probably would have to.
Sounds like a plan. And we can add author to your title of renown lately.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So I've been, I always had that thought about writing a book. I mentioned it before. And so I've been last, I would say week is, it's amazing when you start writing. I've got like on Word, I mean, it's about 100 pages of a book, but about 50 on a Word doc. But yeah, it's kind of want to go through these different chapters. And the book is about usury. And then what I do is, at the beginning of the book, I really try to define in the first couple chapters about the sin of what the church has always seen it as. And then I go further in and how does that implicate in today's modern world and how it's causing a lot of I believe a lot of the issues. So kind of talk about what is usury. It's the charging of interest. It sounds very simple. It's the charging the interest on a loan for profit.
Right.
That's what it always was and is. And so what Jesus said in the Bible, well, two things is very important what Christ said. Christ said that in Luke 6:35, lend freely and ask nothing in return, which means you can't ask more than what the Council of Trent, the Catechism of the Council of Trent, and then a Pope in the 1200s both said that verse has to do with not asking more than what is owed to you.
Right.
Which means it's just for you. If I let you borrow $100, I can always ask for that back. But I can't make money on something that is a non-productive asset, right? It doesn't do anything by itself. That I think that's the foundation of what it is. And then also in the Bible it says the love of money, which that's what usury is, right? You're making money on money. It's the love of money is the root of all evil. Through that, that's what this book is about is can we pinpoint the love of money through this teaching that we have seen so much issues. And it was Innocent the third. I'm always saying Innocent the third or fourth in 1200s. He said that if this was ever allowed, usury. This is way back then when the church has made sure that it was forbidden in all of Catholic societies. That if it was ever allowed, he said all evils would pursue from it. That's what he said, and so I'm trying to make an attempt in these, and I have a lot of chapters done here, which. What we can see from it is a high debt society has caused a collapse of not just the family, but the population, which is very interesting on it. That's some of the things that are definitely important to look at. But in the first chapter, and what I really want to make sure people understand is this is absolutely condemned, and it speaks to not doing this to the poor in the Old Testament. You can look at Exodus, Leviticus, Deuteronomy. Constantly, it says, take no interest from him and make a profit. It says all over the Old Testament. So, I mean, it is something that's, you could say, dogmatically stated, but it's very difficult. And I got to make sure people understand this. It's difficult to put that in today's modern world. But you know that people who partake into it, into that that concept of usury, and we see a lot of evils that do flow from it.
Well, and you made the distinction and have made the distinction in past segments as well, that if you take money and you invest it, someone's receiving money from you to invest in doing a thing, starting a business, planting a field, whatever. It's okay to reap some benefit from what you've given your money to do. From a production standpoint.
Oh, absolutely. It's that when you look at a so it's always found, and the churches define it like Vix Prevenit. It's an encyclical in 1745. That's the last real dogmatic statement that the church has really made about it. You had quotes that came up later on, and then you had the Fifth Lateran Council, which I don't know if I'll get to today. I can get to next week. But there's a big difference between a loan contract of you letting me borrow money, just let's say to consume. Back then, let's say pay taxes, to consume, get food. And most of the cases we're looking at back then, it was looked down upon to get loans, right? People were destitute. They were in need. It was because they didn't have money to pay taxes. They didn't have food. Instead of selling, people used to sell family members into slavery in order to survive. So what the Bible and what it's stating is, if you try to gain profit because someone is in need, that is such a great sin. It's compared to murder. Some of the saints have said that. And the Council of Trent has asked that question, or not the Council of Trent, but the Catechism of the Council of Trent said, well, they asked the question, what is usury? What is murder? It literally asked that question, and it compares it because you're taking someone destitute. And what happened is, if they had to lend things away, there's no risk involved because the person would take the property away and they wouldn't have a home.
Right.
And then they lose everything, and now they don't have the productive asset. That is different from Dave is going to invest in a business, and he wants to have some sort of gain or profit from it. And I really try to break that down.
Right.
But off that, and we have to break down what is a true investment, right? If you give me a loan and I have to pay you back no matter if my business succeeds or not.
Right.
And which means if it doesn't succeed, you're going to take. Now, we do have laws protecting this, but in the hypothetical sense, if you could take my property away because the business did not succeed, that is different than you giving me a loan or you giving me an investment. And what we do is we take that money, and if I make, let's say, $100 profit, and I give you 90% of it, that's just.
Right.
Right. If you partake in the gains of the investment, I think that is a more just way you can say that, rather than I'm going to lend you money and I don't care what you do as a business owner.
Right.
Right. I'm just going to, if you succeed, that's great. I'm going to get my 8%. If you don't succeed, that's great. I'm going to take my 8% no matter what, but I'm going to take it from other aspects of what you own. Right.
Well, let's talk about the book. What is the title or the working title?
So the working title, and I'm really working on that. I need maybe something more catchy, but so far it's called The Forgotten Sin of Usury, Debt, Work, and the Moral Order of the Family.
Oh,
I kind of like
to the
it.
point.
And this is later chapters, but it gets very exciting. If you look at what work is, debt, and I got to really explain this later on, but debt, it destroys the order of what God ordained of work, hard work, you could say suffering, taken on that before the pleasure, right? And what does debt do in a high debt society? You take on the pleasure first before the work, and then you tie your future to that pleasure that happened in the past. So it actually, and I would love to get into this, and it really opened my eyes when you look at the church teaching on it, because when man was created in the garden, we still worked. Man was there to work, and that was our vocation, was to work. And then when man sinned, the curse was suffering through work. And if we try to gain things through pleasure before the suffering or the work, that destroys the moral order of what God intended. And I think that is what I'm trying to prove, what causes what Pope Innocent said about all evils pursue from it.
Definitely time for a new document on finances, economics throughout the world, I would say.
Glad you're writing this, because there's a lot of confusion about what usury is and what usury isn't. So looking forward to that. It's a work in progress.
Absolutely. And I want to clarify that I have to make is that the lender is always the usurer, and the borrower would be just partaking in it, right? And that's what but yeah, it's a work in progress. So.
Gotcha. Love it. Drew Blazsik, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Have a great day. Have fun.